Welcome to the KB-Bimstore first webinar that we're hosting. My name is Kevin Bruno, President and CEO of the KB-Bimstore. Now, just to give you a little bit of information about me, about your speaker, where I'm coming from. Basically, I'm a BIM manager. I'm a professor at NYIT. I'm Revit certified. I've worked hand in hand with Autodesk. And so essentially, you know, I'm coming from an avenue where I've worked with the software. As a BIM manager, I'm working with structural engineers, architects, whatever your trade is, essentially, you know, we're going to go through it. And I've dealt with a lot of those issues, a lot of things that you guys might be frustrated with, things that obviously, we've encountered. And so I started forming this company based on the fact that we've struggled with Revit in certain avenues. Now, you guys might be coming in from all different avenues, and I want to get to know each and every one of you guys. I want to know, what's been bothering you, what's kind of been your main issue, and what exactly that you've been fighting with. So again, these issues are things that we've dealt with in the past. I started out, back in 2009, basically going through and studying at New York Institute of Technology, and I kind of suffered through the software as well. Some things that you guys might be finding issues with, and we're going to go through some of the issues I've encountered and dealt with firsthand. Right now, I just wanted you to take a minute and actually fill out a questionnaire. And so on the format down below, you have a questions dialogue. I want you guys to just put in, where you're coming from. On a scale of 1 to 10, how fluent do you feel with Revit? Do you feel that you're actually, an expert in it? Maybe you're struggling with it. Maybe you're a BIM manager in your own institution. So take a minute, put down a questionnaire. Again, let me see where you're coming from, because again, I struggle with stuff all the time. People ask me basically, how much do you use it? And, where exactly do you see yourself? I would rate myself probably an 8 out of 10 on Revit experience. Do I know a lot about Revit? Yes, but it's struggles that we deal with on a daily basis. So I want to see what your struggles are. Take a moment, put down the questionnaire, and I want to see exactly where you're coming from as well. Okay? So let me see if we got any questions coming in just yet. Okay. Nothing yet so far, but again, guys, I just want to get a hint of where you're coming from as a specialist. Okay, and don't hesitate at all to ask any questions you have during this presentation. Even if I can't answer them during the webinar, I will gladly follow up and with each and every one of your questions and help you out as much as possible. Okay, so going into my company, why did I establish it? Why did we create the KB-Bimstore? And who are we? Essentially, about our company. So we ended up actually utilizing people all over the globe. Okay, I personally ended up working on tutorials. I had people all across the world, specialists, create different tutorials, which we have 230 tutorials, which then got professionally voiced over. We're literally using all of our global aspects in everything that we do and utilize. So again, we like to use people all around the world because of their talents, because of their abilities, and we have renders also in our company that we utilize worldwide. So some of these avenues that you're seeing, marketing department, Revit mobile app development, we have different developers in different countries, spanning from China, India, Armenia, even in the US and Boston. So again, we end up decide to, again, see where you're coming from. A couple of you are now coming in with the questions that I'm seeing. Again, I apologize, there is a little bit of delay, but a couple of you are Revit certified, which is good. It shows a certain understanding of this. So no matter where you're at, a bunch of us are going to, again, you hopefully going to learn something from our webinar, and you're going to see where we've come from and what we've developed. So again, if let's say you're dealing with real life problems, real life stories, these are some of the things that all of us probably have asked ourselves at some point or another. You know, is there an easy way of combining text? You know, how can I find my files? You guys are going through different dialogues, different ways of dealing with that. And so, again, you know, converting over. Maybe your firm isn't actually even in Revit yet. Maybe you're just trying to transfer over. So how do you convert AutoCAD files over? It's easy, right? Well, there's certain things that you're going to need to know and certain things that make this transition complicated, which is hopefully what our company is set out to basically succeed in, which is basically making things a lot more easier. Hence why it's making tasks easier for everyone is our slogan. So again, no matter what you're struggling with and coming from, I understand. Back in 2009, while this is not a picture of me, this is probably a more accurate representation of where I was a couple years ago. I was very frustrated with Revit. You know, working on a program, I went from AutoCAD where a line's a line. Well, Revit's a whole different other beast. You're not just drawing two lines to represent a wall. Those walls have analytical data, and there's a lot of information behind that. So understanding the program fully so you can feel a little bit less like this and a little bit more like this is really key, okay? So let's try, and again, not taking a hammer necessarily to the computer. We always obviously struggle from time to time, but mitigating those struggles is really what this company is about. And so, again, no matter where you're coming from, we have all different things. Now, one thing I always struggled with is sheet setups. Okay, so let me get this straight. I have to go right-click on sheet setups. I have to basically make new sheets, set views onto sheets, and then, again, start putting in templates. This is going to be really elongated. It's going to be a bit more difficult, you know, again. So we set out and we created our Create Project button. Now, what our project button does, which is really the most complex tool that we actually have, is actually just a dialog box where you can actually control amount of levels created, amount of sheets, views on the sheets, assigns templates to those views, and again, you can change the scale of those views on the sheet. You can control your title blocks, and we made it into one simple browser. And the reason we did this is, again, it doesn't, whether you're literally building a 2-story building, a 100-story building, or a 50-story building, it should take the same amount of time, which is basically what our Create Project button has done. Now, again, you can also select from template files right up top. And again, where you can go through this and do a live demonstration in case you wanted to see exactly what tools we have, again, available and how it works. Again, because we're taking a template file, it can work with metric or imperial. I know a lot of you guys are coming out from all over the world right now, queuing in. Right now it's 10 a.m. in New York, but maybe it's, again, 4 p.m. No matter where you are, it might be different systems. We also included an Excel prefix edition, so you don't even have to type first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor, etc., etc. We basically mainstream the process so you can just link in whatever Excel document you want and adjust it as such. That being said, you can actually also adjust the levels. So if you're starting on the 30th floor and you're doing a section all the way up to the 40th, it's very easy and to understand. So now, again, going into our next tool, our alignment button. So some of you guys might be using guide grids. That's pretty much the standard in Revit. So you have to set up the guide grids and you have to align your sheets. Essentially, again, you'll set this up, you'll show it. Some people, again, me personally, I like to use detail lines to situate it. This seemed to take a lot of time out of my daily life. I was like, okay, I want to flip through a set and I want to make sure everything's aligned. Why won't my plans align? So we made this tool, our alignment button, where you can select the scale. You can shift one viewport and it will actually shift all of the views. Now in this case, we chose to actually choose a select scale because in case you're using enlarged plans, maybe you're doing different diagrams that are going to have different scales. You don't want to alter those. So we had a select scale option. So you only can impact your major plans. Again, this helps aligning our documents so we make them aesthetically a little bit better. And again, guys, if you have any questions whatsoever, don't be afraid to ask. We're always trying to mainstream stuff, and if there's something that maybe that's upsetting you, I want you guys to be able to ask the questions. Maybe there's something that we can develop and, again, help assist you. Okay, so again, you don't be afraid to end up asking those questions. Now, autosave. Okay, so how many of you guys have thought when I jumped in, you jump into Revit, AutoCAD has an autosave. When I was starting out, I was getting prompts. You guys might have gotten those same prompts where, okay, I have to autosave right now. Essentially, what Revit has is we have auto reminders. This reminds you every 30 minutes to an hour, whether you're synchronizing, meaning saving to your central files, as you should be, or you're saving on your local file. Now, this can be a little bit annoying because if someone doesn't synchronize and relinquishes those elements, you might be struggling with that. Again, your coworker might have gone out for lunch. They might be running into a business meeting, or they might have to take a call. Well, now all of a sudden, if you're working on a central file and your team needs to end up modifying stuff, it holds up the whole team. And so therefore, we started actually making an autosave functionality. We basically have it that it's a prompt. It pops up basically when you first start Revit, and then you basically hit the time set that you want, and it automatically goes. You don't have to worry about saving. You don't have to worry about synchronizing. You don't have to worry about losing work. Again, accidents happen. Things have definitely happened. So again, this is our prompt. All you want to do, if this prompt comes up, you can select whatever time you like for your autosave or autosync, click OK, and it automatically mainstreams it. So again, you don't have to worry about those issues because again, life has shown us some things can happen. There are different times, unfortunately, that power outages might happen. And then we're left basically holding our hair like she is. All different issues have come up, whether outages happen in your area or any other technical issues. Things do happen. So being aware and having that autosave functionality and an easy prompt is just an easy way of saving your work. I know personally, firsthand, I've actually had some of my work where all of a sudden my computer will lock up, and I just wondered to myself, when was the last time I accidentally exited out of my auto sync function? Okay, so again, just being able to have that functionality and knowing and being relaxed that you are okay is really important, not only for your business, but also for you as a user. Okay, so now moving on. Our renumbering tools. So if you guys have ever really renumbered stuff, we essentially, you have to go door by door, you have to go viewport by viewport, and you might have to, again, if you have two viewports, for example, that have the 1 and 2, you have to change your number 1 number to basically 1 1, and then change your viewport 2 to 1, and then go back to your 1 1 viewport and renumber it. In this case, we made it simple, very simple, cut and dry. All you have to do is click on our renumbering plugin, click on it, and then you're able to actually select it and then hit escape, and it will automatically renumber it. We also have an automatic door to and from room. Okay, now at this point, what's good is that when you have an automatic door and to from renumbered, what this does is essentially if you renumbered all your rooms correctly, to how you want them. If you click on that form, it will actually end up creating a prompt and allow you to actually synchronize your doors with your room numbers. So you don't have to do the same thing twice. You already renumbered your rooms. And most of the time, our doors will automatically or should correlate to the room numbers. So we created a bunch of different tools for that. Again, we're trying to mainstream and make our lives easier. And most of these prompts are either a click of a button. So again, you click on it and hit escape. That is basically how half of our tools work. We're trying to mainstream and eliminate some of the need and issues that you guys suffer from and I suffer from on a daily basis. Things that literally take time, that it really should just be much easier to deal with. Now, me personally, in our next tool, elevations in AutoCAD, in Revit, in the way of our drawing conventions have always been extremely important. Conveying that information and really showcasing how our elevation line weights work, it just portrays our models in a way that makes them much easier to understand. Now, for the more experienced people queuing in, your first response is basically probably saying something like, okay, well, they invented Q depth, which was great in about 2016. Now, Q depth, for the people that don't know, basically takes your line weights and makes them in a gradient line weight. We decided no, line weights are supposed to be based on thickness. We're supposed to base it on our distance. So again, when you're dealing with this dull kind of expression of line weights, we kind of beefed it up. And you can see in our view depth, we have our foreground at 5, middle, elements, and it goes segments all the way further back. So you can basically open up this prompt with one button on our toolbar, click the execute, and instantly you're going to have your drawings are going to be displaying a little bit better. Okay, so you're not going to have to worry about that. All your information, again, it's going to be mainstreamed. We have a 3D model, and I've been in forums dated back to 2007 where users were asking for something like this. You know, why are all of our elevations so flat? Why is it that our line weights, even though we have a 3D model, don't come in well? Well, this tool, again, all you really have to do, because even these values are defaults, all you have to do is click execute. And by clicking execute, it's going to run through this entire stream, and basically from the distance of your view will actually create the line weights that you want. And these line weights that are presets follow your template file. So it doesn't even matter what company, what firm, or where you're coming from, it uses your settings, your system. Okay? And again, guys, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Okay? Now, a lot of, we're actually getting a couple questions in, so I'm going to take a moment here. Okay, so a couple of you guys have asked certain questions like, will it be this webinar being recorded? It will be recorded, and I'm going to send you guys a link at the end for it. Certain questions are they open source for students? We have student discounts, so again, if you want to end up sending us, again, email, we can send you a special package for student discounts. A couple of questions. Now, a lot of them relate to Dynamo. Now, I completely understand where you're coming from. Now, if you're taking this from a programming standpoint for Dynamo, could you possibly do a lot of these mainstreams from Dynamo? Potentially, yes. But again, we're not developers, meaning by nature, we're architects, we're engineers, we're civil engineers, we're structural engineers, MEP. So a lot of what you're asking, can we get into plugins? Yes. If you want to diverge and go into a programming attitude, you could potentially do that. But again, most of the people that are coming out of college that have been working with the software, they're even just trying to get used to Revit in of itself. So we made these tools so it's simple, easy, and effective to use. Because any learning time is just going to be more time spent rather than allocating to something that's billable, something that's for your drawings and mainstreams that. So I just wanted to take a time, again, just to answer some of your questions for that. And again, if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. Okay, so again, wherever you're coming from as far as AutoCAD or Revit, we ended up making a converter. Now, some of this we basically mainstreamed, and the way that we dealt with AutoCAD files and Revit files, basically we did it on a color code system. Now, your first response would be, well, how did you get the colors? And we used an explosion method. Now, for the people that are a bit more advanced on this webinar, essentially, you're going to be like, well, wait, you exploded something. That means that all of those AutoCAD files, all those hatches, those line weights, line styles, all of that just got nested into your file. And that's not true. We actually made the script to eliminate all of that. So when you're bringing in AutoCAD files, you don't have to worry about cluttering it up. This is great for companies that didn't want to abandon your AutoCAD libraries. You guys spent hundreds of hours putting together these amazing details and really, again, mainstreaming a lot of this. Why you would end up having to abandon your AutoCAD libraries, to me, it seems a bit ridiculous because, again, you've been using it already in your company or wherever you're at for years. So having a converter that's simple and easy to use, and literally this is our prompt. So again, you can select your text file, your AutoCAD line weights and colors will show in, and then you can select your Revit line styles. Now you're seeing medium, thin, wide lines. This is based on the template or your current open file. So again, if your company has line standards, line weights, it will actually be an option for you to choose. So again, we realize that you guys have different settings, different styles, different attitudes in that, okay? So we, again, relate back to your template files. We can't necessarily know every kind of combination that it comes back to. So again, we tried to mainstream this process in that you can easily import a DWG file, it will convert it, and then mainstream it for your text sizes. It's suggested that, again, you would create a drafting or detailed view ahead of time, but again, you would be able to create this, again, more on a mainstream level. Now, again, wherever you're at with Revit, now we have different companies are in different spots. Europe and Asia probably are the most prevalent as far as Revit knowledge and experience. Then the Western Coast on the US is the next as far as proficient in Revit. And then the East Coast is kind of trailing behind as far as Revit experience, getting the users up to date. And so what did we do? We decided, again, we worked with different specialists. We created a training button embedded right into our ribbon. So if you click on the training button, it will bring up a prompt basically into this section where you can then log in and get the courses that you want. We have roughly around 230 tutorials. That's about 19 hours of footage. So again, no matter where you're coming from, whether it's training Revit people who are brand new, or maybe people that haven't even touched Navisworks yet, which is a BIM coordination software that you can coordinate basically AutoCAD, Revit, any main 3D files, we have different courses available for that, okay? And again, even though different specialists, myself included, made these tutorials, we utilized a professional voice actor, so it's all mainstreamed, meaning you're not hearing a dull, nonchalant, monotone voice, okay? So we created, again, and really improvised on that. These courses, what's a huge advantage is that even though the training button is embedded into our ribbon, so you don't have to remember that URL for the website, the other advantage is that because it's on a website based, you can also access it literally on Android, Apple, 24/7, doesn't matter what products you guys need it on. So you can go home, you can actually start learning it on the fly. You don't have to learn it in the office per se. You can use these accounts and again, these different course descriptions and courses available to really help you out for what you want to learn. So now, where's our company? Where's it going? Where has it been going? Now, since December 13th of 2016, so literally just last December, we created certain goals for ourselves. Different plugins, different platforms. Today, again, for new plugins for 2017 and 18, 2 to 4 entirely new ribbons. Guys, we are a development company that is literally mainstreaming this process. We're not going to be making 1 or 2 plugins a year, release the update, and hope you get it. No, we want to be making 80 to 120 new plugins. We want your ideas, and we want to be able to create different plugins that help you guys out. And again, we're even going into a mobile platform app. So we actually are already working relatively hard to create this new platform app. Now, what does that mean? Meaning we already have right now what's known as KB Chatter on the Android and iOS app platform, a app that you can actually download that's a messaging app. You may be familiar with the Communicator from Autodesk Revit software. Absolutely a great tool because, again, we're so based on communication between our trades, between our contractors, between everyone. And right now, our platform for Android and iOS is going to be completely free. Again, completely free. So don't hesitate to download it. Try it out. Again, this is on version 1.0, but it's directions that we want to go in for our users. And we're currently working on a Revit platform. So if you have any issues with that, again, we're trying to make collaboration in our field that much easier and simpler. The Revit version is going to be included literally within the suite of different plugins that we have to offer. Otherwise, you can buy it separately. It's going to be priced out probably around like $5 a month per user. But again, we're just trying to basically start collaborating and really connecting all of these different softwares and ideas. Our training is embedded into our ribbons. Our mobile app platform is going to be also embedded into our ribbons. And then again, we're also going to be developing new courses. So if there's different courses that you want to see, things that you want, let us know. Okay? So again, with that being said, we set out to make 80 to 120 new components for 2017, 2018. Looking for your components does not have to be this hard, okay? Now, something that we've always had issues with, and maybe you guys always have also the same trouble. A lot of times, we have to go up to the Annotate tab. You gotta click on Components. You have to then go find the component that you wanna use. And this has always seemed very tedious for me. Why do I have to take 2 to 3 steps just to get to my chipboard that I use on a constant basis? Okay, so again, these things that have really taken a lot of time, we're trying to mitigate it as much as possible. Now, does that mean that a lot of us have always used, chipboard or certain functionality? Again, you guys might be engineers, you might be architects, you may be all different types. Now, what we know and what we utilize as far as our company is really up to you. And when I mean that, for our Revit app progress, we developed our own KB detail tool. Now, what this means is, and in this prompt you'll see, you can set whatever you want. That's right, we made basically a fully customizable ribbon that you can base your detail components, your line weights, and your regions on whatever you want. This will have to work off of a template file. So again, you make sure that those components that you use are in your template file, but this, again, mainstreams the process. And now something even the more advanced Revit users may not know is that when you program and use Revit API into Revit's interface, you actually also can keyboard shortcut that. So that means that I can actually program my chipboard. If I use chipboard, GG. I can use my line weight as 1-1. My hidden line weight is 2-1. You can keyboard shortcut a lot of this. So now when we're faced with detailing in Revit, we've always probably been a little hesitant. It's like, okay, let me go grab this component. Let me go find this one. I know I got this line weight and line style somewhere. Where is it? And so again, we kind of built our own interface that you can customize the name of it, the icons, and what components you want. We made roughly, again, 5 different tabs based on architecture, structure, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. But again, you guys can customize it. We pride ourselves on that. So again, no matter where you're coming from, you can use any of these different tools. And we've also done some combining tools. So for your text, if you hated, again, clicking on each text item and using it, you now have a combined text tool. Okay? There's also an align button tool. And these, again, in your settings, you can set any of these. It's literally that easy that you can save your configuration and you can export and import configurations. So again, if different templates are set up for different items, you can always import and direct those settings differently. Okay, so again, we're not the experts of everything. So again, if you need to mainstream this and for your company, you can do so. Now, we took a step back. We said it's about you and how you want it. Now, in our last plugin, you guys saw, again, using the Revit interface, you can program anything. So that means that basically we took a step back in that we don't necessarily know everything. You know, again, I say hello. Maybe different countries say it differently. Me and my friend Max, we actually go out to lunch. We grab and we eat different types of foods, different things. We're always interested in different customizability. Okay, so whether you say hello or hola, it depends, or ciao if you're in Italy, so Italian. All of this is based on different things. So we took a step back on 2.0 and we developed actually 2 different plugins, which I'm very proud to announce. So essentially we have a toolbar renamer, manage toolbars. What these do is that you can rename it. If you say details in a different language, you can switch it out. You can customize your toolbar. Again, we don't necessarily know everything about everyone. So being able to customize it to your language, to what meets your needs is important. And again, for your managed toolbars, you can shift around your toolbars. You can also enable and disable settings. Taking it from a BIM manager standpoint, I know personally as the company owner, I want to develop as many plugins as possible for my users. That being said, not everything I've developed or my company develops, I should say, will meet your company's needs. We have a Revit City search bar tool. Maybe your company doesn't want Revit City in it. Maybe you as a BIM manager, as an owner, don't want certain tools, or you do want certain tools. And so we decided to enable and disable functionality. And yes, you can lock these settings. So when you're trying to figure out for your company, you know, is this the right tool? Is this the right item? Again, you can go back and you can actually select those tools and release them to your users. You don't always have to choose everything that you see. Now, as I was talking about earlier, mobile app progress. So again, we've completed it already for our Android and iOS version, and we're supposed to be coming out with a Revit version. So again, we're hell-bent on going in different directions, creating different plugins and different mainstreams. So again, for coordination purposes, and we're going to be embedding stuff from forums to different avenues to, again, help in collaboration and make it simpler and easier for you guys all around. Now, the number one question, which is always the selling point, is what does this mean for my company? What does this mean for my users? What does this mean as far as a price, etc.? Now, based on if we can just save you an hour a week, we end up, even if you only buy 5, 6 licenses, if you buy 1 license, no matter what, it always makes sense. Because in the long run, productivity costs money. If you think about your company and how you are, again, this is going to cost a certain amount of time. Now, your users and mainstreaming this process is, again, a challenge. So we tried our best, again, to make the tools that will mainstream this process save your users a lot less time and a lot less aggravation. Okay? So again, no matter what size, again, you're going with as far as how much, whether it makes sense for 5 users, 10 users, 30 users, 50 users, it doesn't matter. You're still saving a huge amount for your company. And so whether again, you buy the initial license. Our maintenance subscription, again, is just at roughly $200. So again, you're not spending too much to get a lot more productivity out of your users. Again, we're talking about 230 tutorials and 110 different plugins. So really, again, getting your users to use that and mainstream that is critical. Okay. Now, again, I just want to say, for the most part, thank you for attending this program. Now, because for you to attend, you've actually also qualified for special grants for the attendees. You can email myself. You can email Justin Ongst at eZigaret for the Global Program Management Certification Program. Okay, so don't hesitate to get in contact with us. If you guys have any questions, concerns, again, let us know. And so again, thank you for your time. If you have any other questions or want to see a live demo of anything, again, we have all these different tools from 2015 to 2018. Again, we can mainstream and just show and broadcast anything. So I'm going to pause for a minute and just check out the questions and see if you guys need me to end up doing anything as far as development and any questions you have or want me to test out. As far as Zigaret, I just want to thank you guys again for broadcasting our company. For the Global Institution of Technology, you guys have put together a hell of a program, and just want to thank you for broadcasting our company as well. Okay, so some questions that's come in. Is there any wood framing plugins for wall framing? Right now, we currently don't have one, but that doesn't mean that we can't make one, and we want to work with you for that. If you're working for more of a residential company, we definitely want to help you guys out in developing that. As far as program plugins for sustainability analysis, right now Autodesk has been kind of mainstreaming that process. That's not to say if there's something that you want developed, we won't be able to develop it with you and work with you for it. So again, if there's any other questions for this, don't hesitate to ask. Okay, so I'm going to just take, again, a minute, just let any questions come back in and see what you guys want to see or what we can do for you. Okay. Guys, again, I'm not seeing too many questions come in. Again, there might be a delay, so I do apologize for that delay. That being said, I just want to go through and just showcase some of the plugins that we were talking about earlier. And again, please feel free to join our website and check out our plugins directly. We have plugins from 2018 to 2015, okay? And so newest version all the way back. Okay, so we got another question in. Can you do some quick live demos? Okay, so the view depth override tool is a huge one. I love to showcase this. Okay, so now I'm going to choose my template file. Again, this is what we kind of chose with. And so I'm going to go on my floor plan. Let me just delete that. Okay, so I'm in a typical floor plan. It's nothing really too special, nothing too unique about this floor plan. Standard basically from Revit and from Autodesk. So now I'm going to just draw a Z formation for our view depth, just so you can understand, again, different tools, different types of line weights. Now our view depth tool, what's interesting about it is that it actually can work in both section elevations, either they're cut sections, either one. It doesn't matter. So now I'm going to take my elevation marker, okay? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to slide this a little bit closer. Boom, grab that. And so for my elevation, just scroll down, and the only thing that you need to make sure of is that your far clipping is set, So in that case, I'm going to go scroll down on my properties dialog, click on far clipping, clip with line, and now I have a line. I'm not sure if it's a little bit too light to see per se, but you should be able to see it. There's one going right across, and right now my autosave just popped up, and I'll click OK. Now, this line represents basically my foreground, my backgrounds. We have my foregrounds. So now if I go into my elevation, well, you can see my line weights pretty much are all the same. Okay, so no matter what, it's all the same line weight. I'm going to go up to my KB-Bimstore tab, additional tools, view depth override tool. Okay, and again, click of a button. There's that prompt we saw earlier. If I click execute right now, already, even just between these three panels, you can see that difference. Again, all of our line weights mainstreamed in one click of a button. And you can always revise that. Maybe I wanted this surface to be a little bit thicker. So again, I'll click on my view depth override, click on my foreground. Let's make it a line weight 8. If I click execute, oh, and that should be a line weight of 8. Okay, so again, helps really mainstream the process. And so again, depending upon what scale you can see, your line weights will display differently. Okay, so again, maybe I want it actually a little bit less. If I go to 2, it goes down to 2. Okay, so again, this whole process mainstreams. So again, the line weights, all one line weight. Let me go down, view depth, execute. Okay, and there you have it. So it really does change your line weights instantly. Okay, is there any other questions, guys, that you might have, or any tools that you guys want to see? Okay. So again, our detail converter, our toolbar renamers, design options maker, our line sheet viewer, all different ones that you can, again, help mainstream. So let me just, again, I can click on my create project button. For our create project button, in this case, let me set up my distance between my levels. It can be 12 feet, it could be 12 meters. Really depends on your templates. I'm going to create one level. I'll have it on a 30 by 42 sheet. Seems fine. For my scale, I'm going to do 1/8 scale. And then I'm going to do amount of sheets. Now, depending upon what you're using, again, your prefix, your values in between may change. It might not be by the 100 series. It might be by the A1.1-8. It could be all different types. It might be for engineers, MEP, electrical. It all depends. In this case, I'm going to just type in demolition plan. And again, you can always load and reload it in. Construction plan. Finish plan. Maybe you have a furniture plan and reflected ceiling plan. Okay, so again, select my templates that I can select right down here. Construction, finish template, furniture template, and my reflected ceiling plan. So again, right now I have it on my starting point of A101. Okay, now if I want to add in my prefix, I can look for my Excel document right on my desktop, click on prefix. Right now it just says first. Now if I want a 40-story building, all I have to do is add in, and I can always scroll to 40, 41, and all of a sudden our prefixes are all set up. So again, it helps eliminate all of that time spent renaming, renumbering, executing, all of this different things. And I can go back to 10, and now it's on the 10th floor. Now maybe your starting number isn't 1. Maybe you're starting from the second floor, third floor. This automatically changes all of your different settings, and it stays with it. It makes things so much easier to manipulate and deal with. So again, if I click Create Project right now, okay, it will create all of the different items. Okay, sometimes I may have accidentally closed out of that, but again, you can always just load it in. And again, set your templates as you see it. And then again, open up your prefix menu. If you want to add that amount of levels, click Create Project. Wait for it. My levels have been created. My floor plans have been created. And now my sheets have also been created. Okay? So again, kind of helps mainstream this process. So again, you can be on different sheets. Now, if your views are in the wrong position, you can always modify them and shift them as you need to. So align views. I can select my views, which was 8th scale. Start at a point. Drag it. You'll get a prompt. All of them have been changed. Again, all of them now align perfectly. So whether you're dealing with massive construction documents or you're just dealing with a first or second floor building, all of your sheets are now aligned just by clicking on the scale. Select the start and end point. Please select viewport on the sheet and drag it. Again, drag it. All the information has been aligned. Again, helps really mainstream this process. Okay, so again, don't hesitate. If you guys have any other questions, you can always contact me directly at kevin@kbbimstore.com. Going back again to the presentation, again, if you guys have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to ask me. I appreciate it, and thank you guys so much for your time. Have a great day, guys.